into the my car, I was going to actually be uh doing this from inside of one of my very favorite fast food restaurants, but instead I decided to just go on out here because it actually is working. Um, I'm sorry, I have a little I have a little bit of a cold and my throat is a little bit raw, but nevertheless, hello, and I just wanted to spend a little time to tell everyone Merry Christmas and just as a random YouTuber and a friend. Um, but is it even working? People are asking me if I'm there. It's okay, never mind. But just to spread a little bit of Christmas cheer and say Merry Christmas, and uh, I hope that everyone has planned something this year that they could do to bring that Christmas spirit outside of your home, outside of the circle of your family and friends, and normal society, your church community, your work, and to find someone somewhere where loneliness resides, where hope is perhaps dim. This can be found in streets where homeless, with their feet bare and their hands rubbing together, sit and wait for someone to do more than just um, give their leftovers from Red Robin to, but wish for a friend to sit down beside and to be able to connect with and to know that they are seen. Loneliness also whistles through the ranks of the elderly, of those who are in hospice homes, about to be dead. Um, in those final moments, often families are cheering and having a merry time in the warmth of their own home, but leaving their grandmother, their great uncle in the hospice home about to die alone. And they only visit them before or after Christmas at their own convenience. Loneliness also can be found in the home of a neighbor that you have neglected. I challenge everyone, if you have not already devised a plan to, like a snowflake, drifting through the North Pole gust of wind that would blow Santa and his sleigh up into the sky. If you are not already uh, floating about in the same manner as that snowflake and going around and spreading hope and cheer and kindness to those in your community that I just described, then please create that plan. I want you to imagine that you were Santa Claus and that it was your job to, instead of give toys and gifts to all of the good boys and girls across the planet, but rather your job was to spread cheer specifically to the ones who everyone else has forgotten, even Santa. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go to Africa because Santa forgets almost all of the African kids. Um, I'm not saying that you have to go to Haiti and try to give gifts to the poor in those countries where Santa also forgets. I'm asking you to stay in your own community and to find the ones who are cold and alone, or about to die, and give them just your time. One time, I was a priest in my priest quorum, and it was our job to take the sacrament to those who were what we called shut-ins. In other words, those who were not able to attend their church services because of some illness or because some disability or because they were too overweight and couldn't move. And so we would bring them the sacrament trays to their home, and with the authority of the Aaronic priesthood, we would bless that sacrament and administer it to them at their bedside or in their living room or in their front porch or in the hospital room where they lay. One such time, I took one of the younger ones with me, the younger priests, and we went to the house of a woman named Noelle. I had never met her before, but I knew that she was on the records, and our bishop had asked us to go do this. So we went and found this really dilapidated home with a, it smelled like open cat food cans that had never, been uh, removed of their contents, but rather left to rot. And it looked absolutely just like absolutely a disrespectful heap of trash everywhere. But we went inside and found Noelle with her fragile, frail frame, um, laying in semi-Fowler's position on a bed. And we approached the side of the bed, and she opened her eyes, and I remember that they looked like they were full of blood or something, and it was kind of frightening at first. But I reached down and said, Noelle, we're here to bring you the sacrament. She was so filled with gratitude. As we knelt down and blessed the bread and the water and gave it to her, she was unable to chew the bread on her own. So I pressed it up to her lips and sort of swabbed it around like this until it became mushy and wet enough to where I could tuck it in to the inner cheek and hope that it would dissolve. And I thought to myself that even though this was frustrating at the time, it was perhaps a blessing because she was able to meditate on the dissolving flesh of Christ in her mouth and to spend more time remembering him and inviting his spirit to be with her as she repented of her sins. Because at the end of your life, you don't have much time left. I mean, if she did things that she hadn't repented of fully, she had better be thinking about it then because she was going to die. Um, and then the water, um, she, we poured it into her mouth, and she was doing like this thing, and I realized that she was silently coughing. Um, but we sat her up and sort of burped, kind of, and she eventually coughed a little bit, but a smile reemerged on her lips, and we carefully and gently laid her back down. And that was all that we were sent there to do. But as I was walking out, I noticed that there was a familiar green hymn book that was on her bookshelf. I slid it out, and wouldn't you know, I cracked it open, and the page that I landed on was the first Noel. And so I turned around and I looked at my young companion and said, "We need to bring the hymns to her, not just the sacrament." And we leaned in and sang softly into her ears, "The first Noel, the angels did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields where they lay." And a tear fell down her cheek, and she spoke to us and said, "You are my missionaries." And even though we weren't, we were. We found out that that evening, Noelle died in her bed. And to know that we were there in the last moments of her life, and no one else was because no one showed up. She had a caregiver that did not show up, and that perhaps was why she died. But we were able to give her a gift, or at least bring a gift that the Savior already prepared for her to her home of the sacrament and that beautiful hymn that we sang. And I know that there's no such thing as coincidences. We were right where we were supposed to be at exactly the right time. And the Lord set that scenario up for us so that we could bless her life and bring to her the spirit of Christmas, which is actually, simply put, the spirit of Christ. So, my friends, who I hardly get to speak to, who I have no communication with outside of these videos that I am sometimes inspired to record, please don't just hear my message and feel the inspiration that you probably are feeling right now and take it as just some warm feeling that you get to have by virtue of watching a video. Take it as a call to action so that you, and perhaps take a companion with you, maybe your wife, maybe your dog, maybe your ministering companion, and go find the one who is waiting for you. I promise that as you do so, you will understand the true meaning of Christmas. It is not about getting, it is about giving. I know that it feels good to be on the receiving end. It feels good when you're, uh, for, as a husband, I buy a lot of things for my wife, and I am usually the one that is giving to her. It's nice for a change to be on the receiving end of my wife and to allow her to take that role and to really show me that she is thinking of me too. And, it's hard to be on the receiving end sometimes because we're prideful and it's hard. I mean, for me, it is hard to receive gifts. I am not the type of I mean, everyone saw when that one Australian person sent Brett and I a quote unquote gift box from Australia full of disgusting things, full of as if someone created snacks with the intention of creating like a fear factor experience. Like there were some that were like hot dog or bratwurst flavored or hamburger onion ring flavored chips and this disgusting Vegemite that actually made my tongue and throat feel swollen. But beside that, it was hard to receive a gift. Um, Even if it were a great gift, which that one was not. Um, it is hard to receive things because I sometimes feel, like I'm only comfortable being the one giving. Um, but I am grateful that someone did think of me, even if it were probably just a prank because everything was disgusting. Um, when that man sent me that gift, I it was hard for me, and I did end up throwing all the contents away because it was disgusting, but also because I felt awkward. But I've been working on that. I've been working on being on the receiving end, and you have to humble yourself. You have to. But enough about receiving gifts. My whole thing that I wanted to point out is it's about giving. It is about giving, and this could be even just words on a note that you give to somebody that will lift their spirits with holiday cheer and with why do people have to insist on turning on their brights in a parking lot? It is also about giving. And so, my friends, reach out into the places that you normally wouldn't. The places that most people don't touch are where you need to reach your hands, okay? Because that is the place where people need to be touched most. That is the place where our communities need to be touched most. It's the places where people are forgotten and alone. So that's pretty much it, everybody. I wish everyone a Merry Christmas. And I see that people were saying that they want me to address uh, allegations or whatever. My I am letting it go, but my account has quite literally been given to somebody else as kind of like it was supposed to be as like a almost like a museum of sorts, like not to post or anything, but to occasionally write down something that would uh, keep the spirit of Call Carson slash Mormon Talk alive, but instead they have used it as a platform to spread absolutely just, according to the screenshots I've seen, filth, to say it the least. And I initially saw when someone posted that a Mormon person, Kwaku, um, he is someone who he did like Book of Mormon videos a long time ago. Wanted to debate who he thought was me about National Socialism. That is not, if anyone has ever watched my show, you know that that is not who I am. Okay. That is not what I've ever taught anybody, and anyone who buys into that absolute rumble dumble dumpster garbage is just very, very easily deceived. So, anyway, everybody, I didn't even need to say that last part. Everyone who knows me already knows this. But Merry Christmas to everybody. Um, Merry Christmas to your families. And, uh, you know, I pray for you guys often. Um, yeah. Well, wonderful. All right. Well, that's all I have to say. Good to have a moment to talk to all of you guys, and have a wonderful, merry, and a wonderful Christmas with your family and friends. Thank you. I'll just turn off my phone because I can't figure.